Over the next 7 minutes, I'd like to share with you some of our foundational beliefs, the principles that will guide how we will work, and the non-negotiables to our approach. And along the way, I'll offer a few examples of the work that Superintendent Balo and I are launching. And I look forward to diving into any areas of interest that you'd like to go deeper into during this discussion session with Rick, and also questions and answers with you. So let's start. There are 4 foundational beliefs that will guide our work to restore excellence in education and to prepare all learners for success. The first one and the second one are really important, and they go together. First, every student deserves to be held to high expectations, and we will prioritize resources and attention to those students and communities who are furthest behind. This isn't an either or, this is a both. And third and fourth, those closest to students, parents, and teachers matter, and we will make sure that they matter. So let's start with high expectations. We are doubling down on our standards-based approach to education by ensuring that our standards of learning are aligned with the content and skill needs of the 21st century and 21st century knowledge economy. Math and history are the 2 critical subjects that are next in the queue of our 7-year review process. And this provides a wonderful opportunity for us to ensure that our expectations for leaving school and our expectations around mastery and knowledge and skills and competencies are aligned to the changing and increasingly rigorous demands of our economy. We will do this by ensuring there is a more robust review process that includes enhanced opportunities for input from stakeholders and experts, and a thoughtful benchmarking against leading states and national and international efforts. Our reviewers, who have typically just been teachers, which is important to do, will now be expanded to include not only customers of the system, such as employers, military, and higher education, to ensure that there's alignment with entrance requirements, but we will also include national content experts, Commonwealth professors, and our directors of education at our cultural and historical treasures who possess expertise in subject matter. Shouldn't we want the education directors at Gunston Hall helping us shape how we teach about the Bill of Rights? Or the director at Fort Monroe, where the first Africans set foot in America as enslaved people, to help shape our history standards? I sure do. Around literacy, and those numbers that are so terrible I just read to you. The governor just signed yesterday one of the signature bills of our legislative session, the Literacy Act. This law is based on a transformative effort led by Mississippi that's resulted in the nation's greatest improvements on literacy scores across all demographics on the NAEP test. This approach is evidence-based and it's proven. We will transform our teacher training in our schools of education to be based on the science of reading, and literacy coaches will be deployed across the Commonwealth to train and to retrain current teachers and introduce new curriculum and tools that are proven and science-based. As our data makes clear, we are in a crisis, and this new law and the governor's commitment to invest in learning recovery will help us change the trajectory of students' lives by ensuring they can read, and read by 3rd grade. Second of all, parents matter. Anyone watching this campaign for the governor fought and has watched our first 3 months in office know that parents matter, and they will continue to matter. We know that parents are a child's first and most important teachers, and we will never forget that parents are critical partners in the education of their children, and they have a right to be included in decisions about their child's education, health, and well-being. As such, the Department of Education will be launching a new parent resource center, which is focused on ensuring parents are informed and confident partners and champions in their child's education. Research tells us this, and we all know from our own personal experience, that parents turn to their child's teacher for information and trusted advice, as it should be. Therefore, as part of this work in a new resource center, we will be creating materials and trainings for teachers to be prepared to work in partnership with parents. This will focus on everything from making the parent-teacher conference a conversation focused on improvement and actionable steps that parents and teachers can take together with students, to making data more understandable and actionable so that everyone is focused on how do we improve student achievement. Educators matter. Research tells us also that after a mother's education level, the most determinant factor of academic success for a student is the access to a high-quality teacher. We are going to make historic investments in the Commonwealth of Virginia to nurture, to increase, and to support quality teachers and professors. Virginia is already 9th in the nation for the number of national board certified teachers, and we're going to continue to invest in that approach, as well as learning from other states who have built stronger talent pipelines, such as Grow Your Own, or looking at different residencies and coaching. But this investment will also include addressing the need for greater diversity in our educator workforce to better reflect the student population. We're currently reviewing certification and licensure processes to facilitate content experts to switch careers more easily and join the teaching profession where we have so many shortages, and help folks that want to transition from the military or other fields to go into this noble profession of teaching. As we pursue these goals, we will define quality and quality teachers primarily as having a measurable impact on student learning. Let me say that again. We will define quality teachers as defined by the impact they have in the classroom on their students' learning. That shouldn't be revolutionary, and yet it is. So, second part, how will we work? What are the principles that are going to guide how we make decisions and how we lead? First, our education system at all levels will be held accountable for preparing all learners for success in life. This starts with a quality assessment system that provides timely, actionable, trusted information. Bipartisan legislation this session establishes a work group around the development of a state-of-the-art assessment that will embrace both a commitment to proficiency and to growth. And as part of our commitment to provide quality information from our assessment system, we will ensure that our cut scores from our statewide tests are aligned with the demands of the real world. Many of you will remember the honesty gap analysis that Achieve used to produce that showed the difference between NAEP proficiency rates and state test proficiency rates. You might remember that over the past 10 years, 17 states have raised their cut scores once they were told that they had an honesty gap, so that their citizens could know that a passing score means that their students are on track. But sadly, Virginia in 2019 still had the lowest baseline for proficiency on the standardized tests in 4th grade reading and math and in 8th grade reading, according to a study by the National Center for Education Statistics. That meant that if you looked at a Virginia test, it would tell you that 75% of 4th graders had a reading pass rate in 2019. But if you looked at that same year's test on NAEP, it would tell you that only 38% of 4th graders were proficient. We're not telling the truth about where our students are, and that's going to stop. We are going to make sure everyone knows where we have problems, what the issues are, so that we can also take actions to change those issues. We cannot afford to lose another generation. The linchpin to a standards-based education system is strong accountability. We cannot allow students to be condemned to stay in a school that is failing them. We will work with the state board and the legislature to ensure that families will no longer be required to stay in an unaccredited school that is not producing results as measured by student learning. It is unconscionable, and it is just plain wasteful of dollars, of time, and most importantly, of lives to keep students in schools that are not preparing them for life. We will hold the system accountable for results. Our second key principle, we know that transparency builds trust and informed action. Therefore, evidence will drive every decision we make. Students, parents, educators, administrators, and policymakers need timely, quality, and accurate data to make decisions that result in students succeeding. This includes information about what's being taught in our schools, materials being used in our classrooms, as well as data on both resource allocation and, most importantly, results. And we're talking about results not only as academic achievement results, but also the feedback results on how well prepared graduates at every level are for the next thing, whether it be readiness for high school or whether it be how they're doing once they graduate and go to college, a military, or a job. And anyone who knows me won't be surprised that we are going to use data as a central part of our strategy. We are going to harness the power of information to fuel better decision-making and to fuel better results. One of the pieces that the superintendent and I are most excited about is a pending analysis of existing assessment data, which will provide a snapshot on learning loss and proficiency gaps for every single student in kindergarten through 8th grade in the Commonwealth. We will have the results of this analysis done by the start of the school year so that it can inform both school division strategies to personalize learning for every single learner, to be able to target resources and programs to those that are most behind and where the learning loss crisis is most evident. But it will also fuel the policy agenda that we will develop for the next legislative session. We also are committed to providing an annual report to the people of the Commonwealth on the progress we're making, where progress is not happening, and what we are going to do differently to get better results. Our third principle that will guide everything we do is around innovation. We're just going to prioritize innovation at every step. The status quo is not working for a growing number of our learners. We will create a culture of innovation that breaks the one-size-fits-all education that is the lasting stranglehold of the industrial age of the 19th century, even though every other part of our lives, of how we live and how we work, has changed. Families will have increased opportunities to choose the model of learning that best suits their child's needs. This could look like more course choices from online providers so that students wanting to take AP Physics could do so online if their homeschool doesn't offer it. It's more enhanced career and technical offerings and defined pathways so students can offer and earn industry recognized credentials while in high school, and that kids can also take dual enrollment advanced courses in higher education for college credit. We will prioritize exposure to the workplace and careers through internships and apprenticeships. In fact, there's a budget line item still being debated right now in the legislature to support the opportunity for every college student to have a paid internship before they graduate from college, and so that they have that connection between learning and work. One of the governor's signature pieces of legislation this term has been to expand our lab schools. The bill is still in the legislative process, but we have ideas coming from all parts of the Commonwealth and from partners from higher education, K-12, and community and business partners. Career pathway plans, a network of computer science high schools across the Commonwealth, a plan and a partnership between 4-year, 2-year, and a school division that allows seamless transitions and integration across institutions to meet student needs and to prioritize skill attainment in the most cost and time-effective approaches. These are all the ideas that are just pouring in as people are getting excited the idea of being able to do something differently. It will be exciting, and it will continue to be fun to watch and imagine how this innovation will change education in the Commonwealth. And finally, I want to share some of the non-negotiables in our approach to restoring excellence in education. First, schools and campuses must be conducive to learning. Our school buildings must be safe, they must be updated and prepared to deliver knowledge in a 21st century manner, and they must support physical and mental wellness inside those buildings. Our budget has historic funding for K-12 construction, including adequate broadband and technology to allow education to be delivered in the most effective and efficient manner possible. And you all know from reading every paper and listening to every news report, we are in the midst of a mental health crisis. Helping schools and campuses to be prepared to address this crisis and to focus on health and well-being is a priority of our administration. In partnership with the Secretary of Health and Human Resources, the Education Secretariat is launching a focus on improving mental well-being in our schools and on our college campuses, including a listening tour, a partnership with our college presidents, and a fall summit which will lead to a set of policy recommendations that again will be introduced into the legislative process. Our second non-negotiable, we understand and we will make sure that restoring excellence is driving everything. And for that to happen, we need to have a reaffirmation that our institutions of learning, from early learning through our universities, will embody a stalwart commitment to free expression and the exploration of diverse ideas. Our democracy rests on the foundation that education must teach every generation how to think, not what to think. Here's where walking in every day into a building under Thomas Jefferson's words around free inquiry and reason inspire me to focus on what matters most. Our campuses, K-12 and higher education, must develop critical thinkers who know how to listen, how to debate, to question, to engage in thoughtful and respectful conversation and problem solving together with others who may not see the world the same way they do. These are the tools and life skills that are absolutely essential in our development as humans, as neighbors, and as members of a democracy. They should be a central part of education in our Commonwealth. Finally, discrimination of any form will not be tolerated. We will not allow the ascribing of traits, beliefs, or behavior based on race, gender, political beliefs, or religion. We will reinforce that every person has a right to rise and that the role of education is to provide them the tools and knowledge to do so. Admissions processes will be grounded in merit, and we will prioritize ensuring that those students who have traditionally been underrepresented in the governor's schools and our most selective institutions at K-12 and higher ed levels will receive the tools, the assistance, and the resources they deserve to be prepared to be eligible by merit. We are going to double down on working with elementary and middle schools to identify and nurture students who are demonstrating promise for accelerated pathways, and we will support their development and their learning journey so that our admissions processes can both maintain their rigor and the results are representative of the populations. This should be our shared goal, to maintain high standards, to reinforce the message to our youth that hard work and results matter in life, and that we should do everything possible to have as many of our children as possible be eligible by merit. Excellence should not be a finite good. As such, we are going to expand the quality opportunities for students throughout the Commonwealth. We are going to expand access to AP, to governor schools, to lab schools by creating more of them and ensuring that more learners are prepared for success in them. This expansion of access and excellence embodies Governor Youngkin's yes and approach. We can expand access to opportunity and still maintain high expectations for all students and our commitment to excellence. And we will. We cannot afford to lose another generation of children because we failed to hold our systems accountable, or we weren't willing to change our approach to education from the one-size-fits-all approach that isn't working for a growing number of our students. Our children deserve nothing less than a world-class education that prepares each of them for success in life. Thank you.